The last words Frederick Valentich ever sent to air traffic control were these: "It's not an aircraft." This is File 11. The Disappearance of Delta Sierra Juliet. October the 21st, 1978. Bass Strait, Australia. One pilot, 20 years old. One small Cessna. One short flight over cold, dark water. He took off from Melbourne at 19 minutes past 6 into the last of the light. 53 minutes later, his radio went silent. He never arrived. No one ever found him. The search covered more than 1,000 square miles of sea. It found nothing at all. But the radio recorded everything. This is what it heard. Frederick Valentich wanted to fly for a living. He was 20, slight, serious about aircraft, with around 150 hours in his logbook. On the evening of October the 21st, he signed out a rented Cessna 182 and filed a plan for King Island, 130 miles south across Bass Strait. Pilots crossed that water every week. The forecast was clear. The flight was routine. At 19 minutes past 6, he lifted off from Moorabbin airfield and turned south. The evening was calm, the winds light. For a while, the tape records only routine. Headings, altitudes, times. A young voice doing everything correctly. The sky darkened as he flew. Below him, the sea turned from grey to ink. At 7 o'clock, he reported passing Cape Otway, the last of the land. From there, the route is open water. No lights below, no horizon at dusk. Only the instruments, the radio, and the dark. He was on track and on time. 6 minutes later, he pressed transmit again. It was not a position report. It was a question. Was there any known traffic near him, below 5,000 feet? A flight service officer named Steve Roby checked. No known traffic. Valentich answered that a large aircraft seemed to be there all the same. Roby asked what type. He could not say. 4 bright lights, like landing lights, and a shape that had just passed 1,000 feet above him. Fast. Melbourne could see nothing else near him. For the next 5 minutes, the thing kept coming back. It approached from the east. It orbited above him. It flashed past. His voice stayed level, almost polite, and every word of it is on the tape. It seems to me that he's playing some sort of game. He described a long shape, a green light, a surface that shone metallic. Then his engine began to cough. He reported it idling rough. Roby, calm on the ground, asked him to confirm his intentions. He intended, he said, to go on to King Island. And then he added, in the same flat tone, "That strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again. It is hovering, and it's not an aircraft." He was 20 years old, alone, over black water. What happened next is the part no report has ever explained. The microphone stayed open for 17 more seconds. On the tape, there is a sound, a soft, metallic scraping, like something dragged along the skin of the plane. Then the channel went dead. Roby called Delta Sierra Juliet again, and again, and again. Nothing answered. It was 12 minutes past 7 in the evening. The search began that night and ran for days. Aircraft flew the strait in slow, careful lines. Ships tracked the currents. An oil slick was found and tested. It was not aviation fuel. Beyond that, the sea gave up nothing. No wreckage, no life jacket, no pilot. The Department of Transport opened a file on Delta Sierra Juliet and kept it open for years. The findings were issued in 1982, and the cause of the disappearance came down to one word: unknown. Not weather, not fuel, not pilot error. Unknown. The report could not even say for certain that the plane had crashed. But that is not the strange part. The strange part is that other people said they saw something over the strait that night. Reports reached the department afterward. People on the coast who said they had watched a green light moving in the evening sky. The reports were logged. They were never confirmed. Over the years, explanations were offered that he lost his bearings, flew upside down, and mistook his own lights reflected in the sea, that he staged the whole thing. Each one explains part of the tape. None of them explains all of it. Then, 5 years on, the sea returned exactly one object. In 1983, an engine cowl flap washed ashore on Flinders Island at the eastern edge of the strait. It came from the right kind of Cessna. Its partial serial number fell inside a small range, a range that includes Delta Sierra Juliet. It might be his. It might not. The file records both possibilities and chooses neither. And one small detail in the paperwork stays open. Valentich gave 2 reasons for the flight: to bring back crayfish and to collect friends on King Island. Investigators checked. The friends were not expecting him. Nobody has ever shown why he was really over the strait that night. Only that he wanted, very much, to be in the air. Play the tape once, and one thing stands out more than the lights. The scraping, the silence, his voice. He reported the impossible, the way a pilot reports the weather. Position, heading, observation. His last words were not a cry for help. They were a finding. The file does not say what he saw. It only says, he sounded unafraid. After the scraping, the tape holds only the open channel. A soft hiss, an empty frequency over a dark and gentle sea. In Melbourne, Steve Roby wrote down the time and kept listening, in case the answer came late. It never came. Delta Sierra Juliet is still listed as missing. Frederick Valentich is still 20 years old. The file goes back in the case. File 12 concerns 3 lighthouse keepers who vanished from a rock in the Atlantic, leaving the lamps trimmed and ready. The briefcase stays open.